In the Bible, Jesus tells the story of two builders, one wise and one foolish. The wise one builds his house upon the rock, and the foolish guy builds his house upon the sand. And the rains came down, and the floods came up.
The floods came up right into my living room.
And the power went out, and they shut off the gas in Long Beach and told us not to go out after dark.
We stayed with that sun for 8 weeks.
And the church building took 4 feet of water in the sanctuary.
I found that building for the church in 1979.
I've been coming here since I was 7.
I got married in this building.
And the place, it was just wrecked now.
And there was no way we could have a service in there on Sunday or anytime soon.
And that's when the phone started to ring.
We got calls from all over the country asking, how can we help?
We were ripping out all the wet carpets from the church and cutting out all the drywall.
And we'd go over to the church's neighbors, people who we knew were elderly and weren't able to do it for themselves. So we ripped out their carpets and cut out their drywall.
We got power back in North Baldwin long before the harbor did. So my wife and I, we made fresh bread, we made pulled pork, and we brought it down and we fed people while we helped them.
The first out-of-town work team came from Cumberland, Maryland. They brought lots of supplies and lots of corn.
So actually, Phil Russo came down from Connecticut where they didn't have gas lines and they actually had generators in stock. So he loaded his minivan full of generators and actually gasoline and drove all the way down one weekend and just dropped them off one night. We had 4 generators full of gas, and I was able to fill up my truck and not have to worry about gas during the entire gas shortage.
The National Guard had a truck stop in front of the church, and the guys there, they unloaded a whole bunch of MREs and put them on pallets and put out water so people have something that they could come to the church and be able to grab something that they could eat.
We were meeting on Sunday nights at the gym of a Lutheran church, and we had to make do without a lot of the stuff that we usually use during a church service. And I remember at that time about half the congregation would be people that had come out to help us from somewhere like Kentucky or Indiana or someplace else.
Someone found a basket at the container store and we used that for the offering. It looked like something you could have floated Moses down the Nile River in.
Thanksgiving time, we had everyone talk about what they were thankful for. And I don't have to tell you that that was the most emotional and genuine conversation that we as a congregation had.
We started meeting at the South Baldwin Jewish Center in the new year so we could get back to meeting together on Sunday mornings again. And as we did that, more and more of our people started to return.
Our little girl was born during all of this, and her first Sunday at church was at the Jewish Center.
We started a ministry called Grace in Sandy, and our heart was to do that very thing, is show grace in Sandy. And we just basically wanted to live consistently with what we believe, that there is a God who showed us immeasurable grace, and we wanted to extend that to other people. You see, we found a lot of people were being helped in various ways. The local Catholic churches had many food drives and clothing drives. The Red Cross was giving out food and clothes, and there was a lot of it, but we thought, how can we just show grace in another way, in a way that maybe wasn't being done around us? So we would just build these teams of people. We'd have anybody and everybody who was willing show up to the church, grab their materials, walk out into the streets. And we walk down the streets and just ask people if we could help. They'd tell us how we can help, and we would either cut their walls, we would pull their carpet, or whatever it is we did. We would do whatever they needed. So one of the interesting things was we had a group of Amish guys start coming out, and up to this point I had no idea Amish people even left their little communities. But the grace that they were able to show us and we were able to take and extend to other people was pretty cool. And we would actually have these van loads of Amish people come out and just start to serve and love the community. It got a lot of heads to turn. That was kind of cool.
There was a Sunday in June when the Jewish Center needed to use their own facility for something, and our church had nowhere else to go. Well, we had nowhere to go except back to our half-finished building.
The stage was smaller, but there was more room, and there were new chairs. The bathrooms weren't working, and you had to go to the parsonage next door for that.
It was kind of cool to watch. One of the guys from our church has this really neat gift and unique ability in creativity and an ability to put videos together and pictures together in a way that touches and moves people. And so what he did was he actually got his video camera and showed up and took a bunch of pictures, took a bunch of videos of people, and really captured the essence of what was taking place that day. And then he actually even had it all finished, edited by that night up on YouTube. And we were able to post it all over our website, our Facebook, Twitter, and all these different social communication opportunities. And all the churches all across the country that were able to help us, they really get a glimpse of what God had done and how far the church was coming.
We went back to the Jewish Center the next Sunday, and I think we were all thinking the same thing. Despite all the inconveniences, wasn't the building close enough now to return?
So a week later, we went back for good and it felt right.
Be careful the person being home.
I like having Sunday school back in my classroom. We like the new toys!
You appreciate this all so much more after you've lost it first.
We're not who we were really before Sandy. And I think now we're a lot more concerned about the needs of the community, and we really want to seek other people who still need help.
This church is not going away, but just because we're back doesn't mean that we're going to be limited to being locked back inside these four walls.
We want everybody to know what God has done for us, bringing us home.
And we want everyone to know that this can be a great home for you too.
Our heart in this whole process is not welcoming ourselves home, but we actually want to invite you to come and share and be a part of this place. So welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.